Welcome to the Life Engineering Podcast. My name is Gabriela Embon, former chemical engineer, relationship coach, and author. In each episode, we'll uncover the wisdom, strategies, and tools to help you build thriving relationships and purpose-driven careers. My wish is that something shared in this space touches your heart, brings clarity, or gently guides you toward what you need most in your life right now. Thank you for being here. Let's begin now. Welcome back to the Life Engineering Podcast, the space where we explore how to design a life of no regrets. I'm your host, Gabriela Embon, relationship and career coach. And when we talk about a life of no regrets, let's be honest. Few things can create more regrets or more possibilities than how we deal with money. And if we're being honest, right, money is never just numbers. It's identity, it's safety, it's power, it's legacy. And when it comes to relationships, money can be the silent third partner in every decision a couple makes, from the house they buy, to the vacations they take, to the future they dare to dream about together. My guest today knows this better than anyone. Steve Sebag is a senior wealth advisor and senior portfolio manager with over 25 years of experience in wealth management. Steve is a distinguished professional in the financial landscape, a graduate of the John Molson School of Business. He also holds a degree in finance and the Chartered Investment Manager designation. As a founding partner of SKS Investments, Steve leads the Montreal practice, specializing in crafting strategic wealth management solutions for high net worth clients and affluent families. What you don't know is that Steve is passionate about developing financial strategies tailored to the unique goals and aspirations of each family he serves. Beyond finance, he's a philanthropist, a community leader, and the co-founder of Fix, a program supporting young people facing serious challenges, including addiction. What I love about Steve is that he doesn't just see money as wealth. He sees it as a window into our values, our communication, and our relationships. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. Money in relationships. What couples are afraid to talk about, and how those conversations can actually make them stronger. Steve, without further ado, welcome to the show.
Thank you for this very long and unnecessary introduction. I'm very, very happy and excited to be here with you.
Oh, I made it shorter because there's so much to say about it. Beautiful
That's
things to
very
say
nice.
about you.
That is very, very nice. Thank you for that.
Money is rarely about the numbers,
Yeah.
right? It's such an emotional topic. Why do you think money is it's so emotional, even for
It's
people who are otherwise great communicators?
because, as you said in your introduction, it's not about numbers. It's not math only, money. Money is really a medium that you use, but really it's rooted in feelings of identity, of security. It ties back to childhood memories and how you saw your parents handle money. It could be a relative that you have that has issues with money, and how you transpose all of that is how you see money. So it is very, very difficult to communicate it rationally, because it's both rational and emotional.
I like that. It's both rational and emotional. I see money of one of the three creative powers. The creative powers are our body, our health, right? We need the body to create sex because it creates babies, right? It's a
Yeah,
creative power.
yeah.
And money because it opens possibilities. And there's so much taboo and belief system and stories, like you said. And you mentioned our childhood. So I want to ask you a personal question here.
Sure.
What money what money habits or beliefs did you personally inherit that you actually had to unlearn in your own life?
Yeah, I would say that the biggest one, and being a finance graduate, certainly I had an interest for that discipline early on. But you hear that you have to save as much as possible, or that spending is bad. And yes, everything needs to be done in moderation, but money has to flow, and money has to be used as a catalyst to make even more money. So it's not a function of only being extremely disciplined or extremely loose with money. It's finding what speaks to you and making sure that you adopt a plan that is commensurate to your lifestyle.
Is that something you had to undo or unlearn?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that earlier on, the amount of money that I would allocate to savings probably would have been a higher ratio. Notwithstanding the fact that life costs more today, you integrate a new pillar in my life, like philanthropy, and all of a sudden, right, there is just less money available to save because you've decided that your money can go a longer way if it's spent on charitable commitments rather than saved. And and I'm not saying that not saving is not good. It would be contrary to what I do for a living. I am saying that it has to be done in a way that is goal based, that allows you to achieve your objectives, not more, not less.
I love that. And I know you're creating ripple effects, not just for the families you serve, but in the community as well. That's something I absolutely love about you. That
Thank
it's
you,
never
thank you.
just that it's not just about us.
No,
But I have a passion for working with couples and making their lives better so they can become power couples. So
I read your
let-
book, and it's a great book.
thank you. Thank you so much. So let's talk about money and relationships.
Yeah.
When couples first come to you, what's the money conversation they're most afraid to have?
Yeah, I think it's overwhelmingly when there is a big dichotomy between one of the spouses, and one of the spouses either spends much more than the other, or the perception is that he or she spends more than the others, and sometimes just debt, being ashamed that you've racked up a certain amount of debt, or that your life as it is constituted today does not balance, and every month you need to tack on more debt in order to make ends meet. Certainly, those are the most taboo conversations, but one that you have to address very early on if you want a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, there's another aspect when it comes to relationships, and I'm really curious to know what's your take on this. How do you recommend partners approach their financial life, combining finances or keeping them separate?
So, as I said, I did read your book, and I know your opinion on the
What about
matter, and
what
I
I
yeah. So what I think is that most of what you spend in your life should be combined. Everything that is related to the house, to the family, to the travel, you do all of that. I do, however, believe that everybody should have a bit of discretionary funds that they keep, and that they can do absolutely whatever they want with it, provided that it's in a proportion that does not hinder the ability of the family to meet their obligations. Everybody should have something that they can go to do whatever the hell they want to do with that, because we all need a little bit of personal time and discretionary spending that is not that you feel no guilt, no shame, that you don't feel that you need to explain. I think it's actually very healthy.
so why not separate all the way through, and
Yeah,
just
so
put 50-50?
yeah, well, okay, so first of all, 50-50 is seems like the fairest thing that you can do, but life doesn't work that way, and there are differences in incomes, differences in responsibility. So to me, 50-50 works only in a very hypothetical scenario where everybody is exactly at the same place in their lives, making the exact same amount, which is not the case. So to me, you can have a tremendous imbalance into what one spouse puts versus the other, and I still call it perfectly fair and perfectly healthy. Why not everything separate? It's just the fact that it's commingled fosters communication, fosters discussion about money, and the likelier you are to speak about money, the healthier the relationship is. And it's only normal. Any study will tell you that money is among the top two or three stressors in life, in couples, in relationships. So if you can put the chances on your side by having more open conversations, your couple could not be worse for it, usually.
Yeah,
Can
I
only
love that.
improve.
It forces the couple to have those conversations. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you know what I love about those conversations? That it's not just about the numbers.
No, no,
It's usually about our stories. So it opens an opportunity for couples to actually get to know each other better, deeper, I would say, because you get to share your fears around money, your beliefs, and then look at our goals as a family, as a couple, and then allocate accordingly and plan together. But also, like I said, every conversation opens a window to go deeper and learn more about each other. And the more we know,
absolutely.
the deeper the connection. So, absolutely, I love what you said.
Thank you, thank
Hey,
you.
do you think how early do you think that conversation should happen in a relationship?
I would say very early on, and I'm not talking really about, hey, I have a checking account and I have this investment. That's not what I mean. I mean, very early on, seeing if the person in front of you is comfortable discussing money, or is a person who is very, very likely to keep everything very close to the vest. That should be one of the signs. You don't make your whole determination on a relationship in the first date just on that. But certainly, it will tell you something if you see that somebody is very secretive around money, because secrecy usually leads to other types of issues in a relationship, certainly around
Yeah,
money.
absolutely. I once had a session with a couple where one partner went on vacation and the other one couldn't afford it, and so one stayed home. So
Wow.
obviously, in my perspective, that's not a union, right? A committed relationship, it's a total union where there are two partners, two co-founders of this entity, and as such, decisions are made together, and resources are managed and handled together. And one of them, obviously, is money.
Yeah,
So,
and
so,
I
so
fully agree with that. I fully agree with that, and I tell my clients all the time, especially those sometimes when it comes for it's a second time around, let's say, and
mhm,
after the first time, people are, let's say, a little less reticent to, or a little more reticent to split everything. And I say, when it comes to the house, renovations, furniture, there's no count. Even if you put 100% of the funds, the house belongs to both spouses. The rest of the assets, you can have a conversation around what's fair, but the family home is the family home and it should be treated as such. And there is no counting, there is no I advance this, you advance that. Make it equal. You maximize the likelihood of not running into trouble.
that's right. It's our money.
Exactly.
So, what happens when one partner earns significantly more? What's the healthiest way to handle share expenses without creating resentment?
Yeah, I there's no exact formula when it comes to that. It's about doing what is fair, and as I said earlier on, does not mean 50-50 at all. So you can take the old-fashioned rule and say, okay, these are the household expenses, and these are the ratios of our incomes, and I make 500,000 and you make 250,000, so I will put a third, you'll put two-thirds, and that can defend itself. But as I said, also some people have there's idiosyncrasies, and some have different spending. There are different commitments that they have to. So I would say, being open, being transparent. This is how much I get in. This is if I were to put aside this amount of money for my savings and for my personal stuff. That's how much I have left to contribute today. That is the ratio. Tomorrow, maybe I will put more, or you'll put a little less, and it's very very fluid. Right? These conversations are not rooted in once and then that you don't revisit it. Part of a healthy conversation is saying, okay, we're doing a little worse than last year. I can put a little less. Do you mind giving a bit more this month or this year? And this is super super healthy. Shows vulnerability, shows that you're emotionally very, very connected to your partner's situation also.
It also provides freedom because, for example, I remember when I did the career change, I wasn't able to contribute in the
Yeah,
beginning until I built my practice. But
yeah,
because it wasn't, oh, you put your, I put mine, it was our money. It didn't matter where that money was coming from, right? So I find that when we view our resources as our and not yours and mine that we are combining, then it provides a lot of freedom. Oh, you want to take a year, a sabbatical? Go ahead. I can cover for that year. So
yeah.
yeah,
And
that's when you realize
you
that.
hope to have the ability to do that, right? Like some people can't afford that, and when you are fortunate enough that you can cover for your spouse temporarily or for a longer haul, you should feel very, very blessed because not everybody has that luxury.
That's right. I love that. So, have you noticed financial dynamics shift as more women become primary or equal earners?
Oh, for sure, and thank God for that. I have 25 years in this business, so I've started my career at a time where we were really this was still nascent in terms of dual income couples. So I went from seeing the very traditional structure where one of the spouses, oftentimes the man, because the woman has the hard job of maintaining the home, and they take all of the financial decisions. They have the whole vue d'ensemble of where the assets are. Any decision is going to go through that spouse, that dominant financial spouse. And okay, I am not saying at all that the other spouse was taken advantage of, or that she even wanted to take a greater role. However, financial literacy is very, very important, and you don't know what can happen tomorrow. And having both spouses well educated, well versed on the household finances is crucial because you don't know overnight what you will have to be doing in terms of financial responsibility. So yes,
Absolutely.
I have seen it evolve completely, and yes, it coincides with women having lesser disparity in income with their man counterparts.
I can imagine you've seen it all. I remember one time when I told my husband, I feel like one of the inner blocks that I have for us to be more, affluent is the fact that if you're gone, I don't know what you're doing. I mean, I know I have access to our accounts because we have shared accounts, and I know what we're doing in terms of expenses and income. But you pay the bills, you
Oh
manage
yeah,
the accounts, you manage the
no,
savings. And I said,
it,
if we grow and you're gone, what am I going to do? So we actually created a folder where all these, almost like a spec
yeah, a digital
with,
vault as they call it. Everything is there, even including your passwords. It's very, very important, and we meet our clients on a quarterly basis to talk about their portfolio and the rest of their financial situation. And I insist, at least once a year, the spouse who happens to be a little less interested in this topic should still come. They should know where everything is. They should know exactly what happens if the other spouse is not here, how their bills are going to be paid. And I chuckle because I have this client, these clients, this family that I'm very, very close with, and they're very, very wealthy. We're talking ultra affluent. But it was a very traditional household where Mister takes care of everything. Thank God he's alive and healthy. And no matter how many times I tell his spouse, here, we did the financial plan. Look, you can even increase your spending by X. It works, it works, it works. She just doesn't know the mechanics. She doesn't understand how it's going to be paid. How actually the gardener this month is being paid. Because Mr. did all of it. So holding her hand, explaining, re-explaining, there's so much value in that. And Sometimes we have to act as the intermediary because, as you said earlier on, talking about money is not fun. Talking about money without
Mm.
judgment is very, very difficult. And although everybody says, no, I don't judge, everyone judges because judging, by definition, is looking at behavior and contrasting it to how your behavior operates. So you're judging because there is a departure for how you would have done things. So it's very, very difficult to look at something without the lens of I would have done it differently, better or worse. So sometimes we act as the intermediary, but these are healthy conversations. And even though sometimes a conversation can erupt, and because it brings out emotions, people feel much better after, and things that were a elephant in the room are suddenly, another analogy for a smaller animal than an elephant.
You know, I love what you said, the elephant in the room. And first of all, the fact that you are able to mediate or intermediate between couples so they can have these conversations. It's very powerful because when it's just you and me, they won't sit and have that conversation. The moment they have
Nope.
that meeting with you, then it's going to happen. But I remember a time where we felt that our expenses were piling, but our income wasn't at the
Yep.
same pace.
Yep.
That we had to look, first of all, the inner resistance I had to sit and look at the numbers. And then when we look at the numbers, we realize that we need to create a budget. Now, for me, the word budget was a no no
Yep.
because I'm not an overspender, right? And people have different money types or behavior types. I'm not an overspender. I'm like, I don't want a budget. I am so, I limit myself in a healthy way. I don't want to have a budget, a number. What was so astonishing is that the moment we actually created more or less a budget, we put a goal of how much, our upper budget and ideals so we can save more. And we look at all the numbers and we became more conscious of our expenses. It created a feeling that I wasn't expecting. So much freedom. I felt just freedom. Now you would think it doesn't make any sense. If you are being told that we need to spend less, so you're being more careful, how can you feel so much freedom? I just I felt so much freedom. I started telling all the couples that I work with, just do this. Just look at the numbers. Don't be
Abs-
afraid because you're going to be surprised. So, can you explain? You are the expert. You work with families. You guide them to make the right decisions and build a future,
Wealth.
a safe retirement. Why? Please tell me, why did I feel so much freedom when we actually ended up creating a budget for the first time?
Yeah, I laugh because
I
it's
know
the
you're
same.
laughing.
No,
Okay.
because it's the same
Yeah.
thing as religion, right? You say, hey, there's a million rules, and then the rabbi or the priest or the imam answers you, well, yeah, with laws and rules comes freedom, and it's the bit of a tension. You're like, what do you mean? But of course, lawlessness will not lead to anybody being free. So, and I think it's exactly this. Having a plan will give you financial freedom, and this is where it ties in. Financial freedom is not a you should not feel guilty about aspiring for financial freedom. It is the end goal of most people when it comes to money. You work hard, you take care of your family, you take care of others with the hope that you will have enough to be able to maintain the lifestyle that you have grown accustomed to for as many years as God allows you on this earth. So rules will help you have financial freedom. Without rules, without a roadmap, it's chaos, and chaos leads to an inability to know where you're going at all times, and have no idea if you can spend this much, 50% more, 50% less. You need rules. You need a game plan.
Thank you. Thank you for explaining that so well. Yeah,
Pleasure. Thank
I
you.
can see that. So, what's the most common mistake you see couples make with money?
Ooh, there's, it's a hard one, that one, because every situation is really, really unique. And there are many, many variables that come into a financial plan. So I will go with the easy answer, and I will say spending beyond your means. It's obvious, but it's really the biggest hindrance in achieving your objectives is to spend more than you can. And some people don't feel it because you tell them, okay, you're going to spend this much, you're going to save this much, and you're going to give this much to charity. And they still do that, but they rack up debt. So they have a feeling that they're sticking to the plan because, hey, I'm doing this, my budget. No, you are slowly but surely increasing your debt load. And I'm not someone that says that all debt is bad. Debt to finance real estate is healthy. There are debt to start a business. Debt that is with the intention of having a return is actually positive debt when it's managed well. Consumption debt is just terrible. So when you let it sneak up on you, and especially, and it ties into our conversation on communication, certainly hiding debt is really, really going to detract you from the plan.
And how do you help them bounce back from that?
Thankfully, most of my clients are affluent families, and they have an ability to rein in most of them debt to a level that is reasonable. But when it's time to have those tough conversations, you wouldn't be a good advisor if you don't have the ability to give tough love to people. It's very nice. I love the meetings where I'm telling people that they did 7% this quarter and that they're on the right track and that they're 99% probability of achieving their financial objectives. These are great meetings. But the important ones are just as much when I have to tell someone, hey, you continue like this, it's just not happening for you. And you wanted to retire at 65? Sorry, you'll have to work to 77 if you keep it up. And someone might answer me, hey, I'm good with that. Okay, you're good with that. As long as it's all about X versus expectations and the plan. So if the plan is all along that you don't need to stop working at 65, then do it that way. No problem. But it has to fit, and your partner and you have to be on the same page that this is what you guys are in it for, right? Because if one had ideas of retiring at 60 and the other one is like, no, no, I'm going to spend like this because I want to work until 80, but the other spouse doesn't is not aware of that decision, and they thought they would have an extra 20 years of retirement with their spouse, this is a material departure in what that person thought their life was going to be.
Do your clients always come to those meetings together, or sometimes do you see that sometimes only one partner shows up? Usually the
Yeah,
one managing the. What do
I
you
would
do in
say.
that case?
Yeah, no. So as I said earlier on, I insist that in the context of a traditional household where there are two spouses, that at least the spouse comes to at least one meeting a year. That's my minimum. But yes, of course,
Mhm.
there are people who are more interested in finance than others. People have different schedules. So we do run meetings with one of the spouses. But the big discussions, when we do an update of a financial plan, we usually ask that both spouses are here. And conversations around philanthropy and how much to give to the kids, those I, as much as possible, would like both spouses to be here.
I can see how important the relationship with you as their financial advisor is, because if you don't have that relationship, if you don't create that bond of trust with your clients, then it's very difficult to give them that tough love and tell things as they are. You know, earlier today I was interviewing somebody and on the topic of communication and leadership, and he made a beautiful distinction. He said, "You don't want to be nice, you want to be kind." And I said, "Okay, what's the difference?" And he said, "Being nice is when you tell somebody what they want to hear.
Yep.
Being kind is when you have such a trust and such a deep relationship with a person that you're actually telling them what they need to hear.
I think so. I would agree with that statement, and it's hard because giving good news certainly easy than giving bad news, and we're all wired to be very good at giving great news, but not so well equipped at delivering news that is hard to hear, that will create friction, that may even create friction in the couple, because not both spouses behave exactly the same way when it comes to the finances. So, but you still have to do it because it's really a short-term pain for a long-term gain if you can rectify it earlier on.
That's right. That's right. Making a choice based on where you want to be, not based on where you are, not being reactive.
Yeah,
I love that. I find that sometimes we solve one problem creating another problem. No, we're going to go
yeah.
to that vacation because I want to make my wife happy or my husband happy, but you can't really afford it. So
And
we are solving
I'm
one
guilty of
problem.
that in my life, right? Like, and sometimes you're like, no, no, no. Right now, we're not going to say really, really what I truly feel is best for her. We'll do that tomorrow, or we'll do it in a more subtle way. Yeah, sometimes it's good, sometimes not so good.
Yeah, lovely. I love that. So let me ask you a question to wrap up this episode because what people don't know is that we have a surprise. We want to do a
Yay.
part two. We'll talk about the part two. If our
Surprise.
listeners could do one thing this week,
Yeah.
one thing this week to improve both their finances and their communication, what would it be?
Why not go on a money date? 30
Mm,
minutes. Maybe we can come up with a catchier name, but I
yeah,
like money
what's that?
date. And it's not, this is not no judgment. This is not you did, I did, we should, this is dreams, goals. Start to go back to, okay, if I had the ability to do this, what would I like to do? Okay, and then it can evolve into how we do it. But really, this is about rebuilding a time where it's not about talking about money in a way where I would like you to do this differently than you are doing. There's plenty of time in life to tell people that they should be doing things differently. This take 30 minutes, which is just, it would be nice to be able to do that. And that's my priority. And who are you? Are you somebody who wants to travel different places? Or would you like a place down south so that we go to the same place? Those are healthy conversations. They make you dream and they energize you also to talk about money and to do a plan because if you have an objective, it's easier than if it's, very, very vague. So, money date.
Money date. I love that. And it's not, you don't mean a date where you spend a lot of money. You mean a date where you talk about,
you, I told you the name was an issue. No, absolutely. I mean a date where you talk about money, but not in a judgmental manner. If it happens to be in a nice restaurant and it costs a lot of money, that's also nice sometimes.
it is. Beautiful tip. Beautiful. Steve, this has been such an eye opening conversation. What I take away is that money is never just about dollars or cents. It's about meaning, it's about trust and alignment, hence the money date, right? I think alignment is crucial because we are two people with different money stories, different upbringings, different fears and triggers when it comes to money. So that alignment is key to create that unity, right? The
It works in every other discipline, right? Whether it's a sports team, whether it's in business with your partner, people that are aligned, you maximize the likelihood of achieving success if you're on the same page rather than not. It's elementary.
absolutely, yeah. And the couples who thrive are the ones who see money not as a source of division, but as a tool to build the life they actually want together, right? That's the
That's
key.
beautiful. Absolutely. Thank you for
So
having
for our
me.
Oh, I'm having so much fun that I want to have you again. Let's do
Oh,
part
okay.
two
Well, I'll come again for sure.
because I'll tell you why. I want to talk about children,
Yeah.
right? I think that the conversation is not just between the couples. We want to teach our children money, the right money habits, that financial literacy early on. So it deserves its own episode. Are you
I'll
in?
be back and happily so. Thank you very much.
Beautiful. So, for our listeners, I encourage you to take one step this week. Have the conversation been avoiding, whether it's about combining accounts, balancing unequal incomes, or simply admitting what money makes you feel. It's those conversations that can transform your relationship from fragile to unshakable. Steve, thank you again for sharing your wisdom and your heart with us today. And to everyone listening, don't forget to subscribe, share this episode, and keep building a life and a relationship of no regrets. And since he said yes, make sure to tune in for part two, where
Yes.
Steve and I will dive into one of the most important legacies we can give our families: how to teach our children financial literacy. Until next time.